Carl Jung, one of the most influential psychologists of the 20th century, believed that our journey through the first decades of life is not the main story, but merely preparation. Life truly begins at 40, he said. Before that, you're just conducting research. This bold statement challenges how most people perceive aging. We are taught to fear age, to see middle age as a period of decline, chaos, or crisis. Mass culture is full of cliches about the so-called midlife crisis, a time of existential anxiety, impulsive decisions, and desperate attempts to hold on to youth. In modern society, this is especially noticeable. Anti-aging advertisements, the cult of youth in the media, the fear of aging, all of this creates a distorted view of the natural course of life. But Jung offers a radically different perspective. What if this stage of life is not a crisis at all, but an awakening? What if it's not the end, but a new beginning? In Russian culture, there's a saying, 40 years is a woman's century, but modern psychology completely refutes this outdated view. On the contrary, research shows that many people reach the peak of their creative and professional potential after 40. Statistics confirm that many outstanding achievements in art, science, and business were made by people at this age or even later. Imagine the first 40 years as a phase of exploration, a time when we accumulate experience, form identity, and learn to understand how the world works. It's a time of rapid growth when we absorb the ideas and values of the people and culture around us. Like the Russian tradition says, the first pancake is lumpy. Our early attempts to find ourselves, build a career, or start a family may be clumsy, but they are necessary for our development. Every mistake, every disappointment, every failed experience becomes part of our personal foundation, on which a more conscious and fulfilling life will be built later. It's also a time of searching. Who am I? Wax. What should I do with my life? Vision. What will make me happy? These questions drive us in youth, but the answers we find often seem incomplete. We wander in the fog, trying to find our way. In Russia, there is a wise proverb, live and learn, and it is particularly relevant in the context of Jung's theory of personality development. This process of constant learning and self-discovery does not stop with age, but, on the contrary, gains new depth and meaning. As we approach 40, old ways of life cease to satisfy us. Priorities that once seemed so important, career growth, conformity to societal expectations, pursuit of status, begin to lose their power. We realize that much of what we have done was shaped by others' definitions of success and happiness. As the saying goes, live someone else's life, you won't find your own. This is a time of deep values reassessment, when external achievements give way to internal discoveries, and the pursuit of success transforms into a search for meaning and authenticity. Modern research in the field of neuropsychology confirms Jung's observations. By the age of 40, a person's brain reaches an optimal balance between emotional and rational thinking. We become more resilient to stress, better understand ourselves and others, and are able to make more informed decisions. It's a time when quantity finally turns into quality. Researchers note that at this age, people demonstrate the highest levels of emotional intelligence, strategic thinking, and complex decision-making abilities. Our brain seems to reach its optimal operating system, combining experience with flexibility of thought. Jung called the process of maturation individuation, the development of a holistic personality, living life on your own terms. It's not a sudden change. It happens gradually, often starting with quiet questions. Is this all there is? Am I living the life I truly want? As the saying goes, the quieter you go, the further you'll get. This process requires patience and inner work. In the process of individuation, we learn to integrate different aspects of our personality, accept our strengths and weaknesses, find a balance between societal expectations and internal needs. In middle age, there's a deep reevaluation of values. If in youth we're driven by ambition, competition, and the desire to prove something, now we begin to appreciate something else. Authenticity, connection with ourselves and others, meaning. Life becomes less about doing and more about being. It's like a person stops chasing mirages and find a real oasis. Many discover new horizons at this age. Some start writing books, some learn a new profession, some find their calling in helping others. It's not so much about what a person chooses, but that this choice becomes truly conscious and personal. Research shows an interesting paradox. People over 40 often report a higher level of life satisfaction than 20 and 30-year-olds. They worry less about other people's opinions, better understand their true desires and needs. As Leo Tolstoy said, all happy families are alike. Every unhappy family is unhappy in its own way. Similarly, each person finds their unique path to happiness. It's in middle age that we often discover that happiness is not the result of achieving external goals, but the ability to live in harmony with oneself and the world around us. Psychologists note that after 40, people often experience a kind of liberation from the social masks and roles they wore in their youth. There's a courage to be oneself, to say no to what doesn't align with internal values, and, yes, to new possibilities and experiences. It's a time when we finally understand that we are not obliged to meet someone else's expectations or follow society's prescribed scripts of success. Middle age for us is not the beginning of the end, but the beginning of something deeper and more real. It's a time when we finally start asking the right questions and finding our own answers. As Jung said, the most frightening thing is to fully accept oneself, but it's also the most liberating. At this age, we finally understand the deep wisdom of the Russian proverb, where you were born, there you will be useful. Not in the literal sense of being tied to a place, but metaphorically. Finding oneself and one's true purpose can only be done by being true to one's authentic nature. This is not a time of withering, but of blooming, not the end of the road, but the beginning of a new, more meaningful and authentic stage of life.